Well, in New Mexico, you've got your revenues are flat, and you've done a good job of moving down your expenses. So your revenues match your expenses, but you don't have a big cash cushion, and you don't have a big net worth. Everything's been pledged in the state of New Mexico.
So what does this mean for things like ERB and para?
Sure. Para and ERB are sponsored by the state. And in the case of ERB and para, asset allocation alone will not get them back to full funding. It has to come from contributions. But based upon your balance sheet and your cash flow and financials, you don't have a lot of contribution flexibility. So something else has to give. If you continue to take risk without adding additional collateral to these structures, you could continue to see larger deficits at both ERB and para.
So what does that mean for taxpayers?
Well, for taxpayers, if you want to get these plans back to full funded, it's going to require higher contributions. Higher contributions will ultimately mean higher tax to the current taxpayer and the future taxpayer.
What about the people that are in ERB and para?
For those people in ERB, as it stands now, the state, those two risk retention pools, ERB and para, those plan participants will probably be asked to take a smaller benefit. I'm not sure whether the haircut will be 5 or 10%, but given the balance sheet and cash flow and the revenues and expenses of your state, that's something that will probably happen over the next 1 to 3 years.
But I've sat in a number of these committee meeting hearings, and I've heard para and ERB people say, oh, we make these small adjustments and everything will be great. You're saying that's not the case.
Yeah, I think the scoreboard being portrayed to the politicians here in Santa Fe has too much amortization in the scoreboard.
Why is that bad?
And what that means is it delays the pain. And if you mark to market your assets and mark to market your liabilities, you get the live feedback. You want the live feedback in a mark to market structure. So the politicians are not seeing, the numbers are actually worse than what's being portrayed due to the long amortizations and smoothing periods.
So are we all destined for doom and gloom in this state?
No. I mean, there's a lot of strengths to New Mexico. You have tourism, you've got some manufacturing, you've got a good educational base, you obviously have a lot of federal business here in the state, and you've got natural resources. Actually, the natural resources is what's really bailed you out. But, however, if you want to protect your borrowing rating and your credit rating, you want to get out in front of this issue because those two risk retention pools, ERB and para, could potentially impact your ability to borrow in the future at low rates.
Is this a problem that every state has because of demographics, an older population, a population that's getting older, retiring?
No, I think this is, I mean, that's true. That's part of it. A small part of the mosaic has been the demographics. I think part of it has been the structure. We've had tremendous allocations to large equity portfolios. So your success or failure has been too tied to the equity market. And the other part, because you don't mark to market the liabilities with falling interest rates, with like Operation Twist and the Federal Reserve lowering interest rates, that's great for businesses. But if you're trying to reserve, like you and I are, for kids' tuition or for retirement or for any type of reserving, it requires more collateral, and you do not see that when you hold that 7.75 or 8% expected ROE return. You don't see that. You don't feel the economics. The politicians aren't feeling the economics of the pain.
So do we need to get out of defined benefits?
Well, I don't have a lot of confidence in defined contribution. What you really need to do is to fix your defined contribution plan. Your defined contribution plan is a great way to deliver cash flows to plan participants. Defined contributions, remember, was an add-on for Kodak and Xerox back in '75, along with Social Security, the three-legged stool: DB, Social Security, and defined contribution. The defined contribution has a single-legged stool. I don't have a lot of confidence in success. I would say the success rate, if you did just defined contribution, would be in the low 20s, maybe high 25%.
What would you say to people that, possibly union type people on the left side of the political spectrum that are saying, this guy Sean, he's a tool of the right wing. He's saying all these things that the Scott Walkers of this world are talking about.
Well, my dad's in a DB plan, my mom's in a DB plan, my sister's in a DB plan, my brother's in a DB plan, and my business is built along the success of DB plans. So I would say that I'm definitely pro DB plan.
All right, Sean, thank you very much for your time.
I appreciate it. Thanks for
stopping.
stopping.